Greetings, Redheads. Thank you again for joining me in another edition of today's episode of Red's View. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the official YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/WeAuthenticMusic. All right. Again, thank you for joining me. I got my homeboy with me right now, Ryan Taylor. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Thank you for joining me, man.
Always.
So basically, today's episode, what we're going to talk about is physical versus digital. Now let me go into detail with that. Okay, physical, as far as music, is what you can hold in your hand. Meaning if it was a cassette tape, a vinyl record, or a CD. You know, nowadays, you still have some of that, but digital has taken over. So we're just gonna be able to talk about which one we prefer and which one that everybody else pretty much prefers these days. So we're gonna break that down. So my first question is, what do you think? What do you feel more like? Are you a physical person or are you a digital person when it comes to obtaining music?
Me personally, I'm more of a digital person. I'm more of a physical person rather. Ever since I was a kid, I remember going to the store, buying a physical CD, struggling to get it unwrapped and everything. It's all just a part of the nostalgia of buying a CD to me. Yeah. And I can remember having the big CD cases where you would flip through the CDs, have the books and everything. And that's another thing too, is that when you have the books, I feel like it's a part of the music. Like I feel like it's something that the artist gives you. It's a part of their art. It's not just a digital copy, which you do get the digital book, but it just doesn't feel the same to me.
Yeah, it really don't. And I agree with you. Like I'm more of a physical person, I can say myself. When we were growing up back in the day, it was something about actually going to get the record. Like, what I'm saying? It's like you're driving in there, you go into the store and you see so many different records or whatever. And back when I was growing up, I remember I would get like 3 or 4 CDs at the same time. Now I definitely don't do that these days, but it's like it was a different feeling because I was thrilled to actually go to the store and get it. Like when the 50 Cent and Kanye thing happened. I think that was the last time that people who really went and purchased CDs went out and was just like, man, I got to go to the store and hurry up and get it, because I want to be a part of that Kanye versus 50 thing.
I want to be a part of the numbers.
Yeah, be the numbers. And I think that like just going out there, you got to be really I got to be really in tune with your music in order to do that. And I think back in the 90s, that's pretty much all we had because it wasn't so much digital. But I like the aspect of actually going into the record store and being able to, you remember back they had the little samples you can listen to and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Like with the headphones and stuff, like in FYE. I don't even know, do they got a lot of FYEs anymore?
There's a couple. I know if you go to certain malls, you'll be able to still find some. There's places like Barnes and Noble, which I think still have a pretty decent, following for music, and that, you can still go in there and catch a sample or something like that, but it's few and far between now.
Man, I'm telling you, like, ever since even moving here, I found like a couple of Best Buys, but if you go to like a regular mall, you don't see, it used to be, okay, you're going to have a spot where you can get CDs, cassette tapes, all that stuff, but it's really becoming obsolete. Now, you remember we was talking about even that they're starting to stop making cars with CD players in them because everything is so digital now. But to me, like if you buy a digital album on iTunes, for example, like the first time I actually bought that was Marshall Mathers LP2, right? I said, I'm going to try this out and see how it works. But when I got it, like you get 2 bonus songs, until you actually get the album. And when I finally got the album, I had the songs on there, but for one, it took out a lot of space on my phone, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then after that, like I got the file where it had the cover art and the credits and the booklets, but the shit didn't feel the same. I was just like,
it's not the same at all.
Yeah, it's like I could have went on Google Images and found this shit.
Exactly.
So when you go to the store and you actually get it in your hand and be able to go, and I like reading the credits. I like to have something in my hand more so than digital. Now, what do you think about the streaming services? Do you have any streaming services right now?
I love the streaming services just because it gives you that larger library. So it's a give and a take because I miss the physical copies, I miss the books, I miss the cover art, physically having the cover art and everything, but having a library that's pretty much endless is great. I mean, I have Apple Music, right now. I've toyed with Tidal some, I've also toyed with Spotify, so I've had my my changes and stuff like that. I've used each one and everything, but for right now, I'm pretty much settled on Apple Music.
So why Apple Music out of all of the other ones, you think?
I feel like it's just the ease because, you know, when people, you have an iPhone nowadays, and although they're pretty much the same, it's really specific to who you like the most. Like, given that I'm a huge Kanye fan, you know, I tried it out while it was on Tidal and stuff like that, and I actually debated with myself of trying to keep Tidal, but at the same time, I was like, well, I think Apple Music was slightly cheaper at the time, and then so I was like, well, you have that, and then I mean, there's still a couple of artists who still release exclusively to Apple Music, at least for the time. Like Chance, he just released his, and his was exclusively to Apple Music, which, you know, for me, he's another one of my favorite rappers, especially nowadays. So he's, you know, up and coming and everything. So
true. And I went to Apple Music because really Apple Music came from Apple purchased Beats at the Beats app application or whatever. And you know, the structure of how Beats Music was, like, they give you a playlist. Like, you get to pick like three or four artists, and then whatever you pick from, like, if you say you got R. Kelly, Nas, Aaliyah, and Beyonce, you're gonna have playlists that involve them, and you know, it's like it thinks for you, and it gives you lists and playlists. Like, if you got a cookout, it'll say cookout for hip hop, or you know, love songs for hip hop, or something like that. It gives you more than what Tidal does, and I think Tidal, for those who don't know, that's a streaming service that is operated by Jay-Z, right? And Tidal was mainly it's to make sure that you get more quality sound, as well as the artists actually get paid more. Now, what I can talk about Tidal, would I use that over Apple Music? No, because as a fan, Apple Music, like I said, everything I just stated gives you more, you know, like variety and stuff. Tidal gives you that, but it doesn't give you like playlists and stuff like that. It's like you got to pretty much make your own. Now, I think they have a like a HD version, right? That you have to pay more. Or how much is that? Like $19.99?
$19.99 or $24.99. Don't quote me on it, but it's around there.
Yeah. Now, see, the thing is, as an artist, independent artist, I'd rather put my stuff on Tidal because I'm gonna get more money for it.
Yeah.
You know, I think they said the average minimum wage salary is like $1,260 a month. In order for an artist to get that much on Tidal streaming service, they would have to have like 100,000 streams, which is a lot, but not as much as YouTube. Do you know how much you get from YouTube streams?
No.
Like 4 cents, I think. And they said that you have to get like 4 million YouTube streams in order to get minimum wage of a month for, you know, to get $1,060 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So I think that really is interesting. But that's the only reason I really go to Tidal. But what is the last physical CD that you bought?
Last physical CD I bought, I can't even remember now. I want to say it's around the time J. Cole released Forest Hills Drive, or 2015 Forest Hills Drive, or it's around that time, 2014. Get my years mixed up.
I mean, it was released like at the end of 2014, so I mean, I can understand how you feel.
It was either that, or it might have even been somebody else. I can't remember, but it's around that time because that was still where streaming was still coming on, and you were still able to find a bunch of CDs. I know recently I've wanted to get Kanye's CD, The Life of Pablo, but you know.
Which brings it to the next subject. Like, these days, artists are dropping music digitally before they even get a physical copy, if they even put out physical copies. I think Kanye's on some stuff right now where he's like, man, fuck it, I'm finna just put this out. You know, because he kept switching up. He said he was gonna give physical copies, but then again he didn't. Like, and right now I think he said something in an article about he's not trying to do physical copies anymore.
Yeah, I remember him saying basically the last album was the Yeezus album, was basically he was wanting to, that was the death of like all physical copies that he was gonna make. And at first I was skeptical because, you know, he started off, he was tweeting a lot, and then he was like, you know, it's never gonna be released on anything but Tidal, and then he was like, it's never gonna be on Apple, and then, you know, 2 weeks later it's on Apple Music. So I'm like, well, I'll give it time, maybe I'll walk into Target and I'll be able to find it, because for artists like Kanye, and if Chance were to release physical copies, I would go out and buy those because I'm huge components, huge supporters of them. So
I think that definitely physical copies are not 100% obsolete, but I feel like they're definitely not as important because it costs more to manufacture those.
yeah.
Like if I'm trying to put out an album, it's easier to go to a TuneCore and sign up and have an account and put my music out digitally than having to go through somebody else, because they do physical copies too, but having to go through another company and spend money on making the CDs, because that's hardware. Then you got to resell them and stuff like that versus somebody who already have it on their phone. But they did do a study and said that people in some other countries still prefer physical more than digital, because I think it is just about who you are as a person and what you really like. If you like everything, I don't really like the aspect of downloading digital music, like purchasing a whole album on iTunes or purchasing a song on iTunes anymore when you have a streaming service. Because think about it, if you pay $9.99 a month, some people look at it that, man, I don't want that bill. I'd rather just buy the song and be done with it. Mm-hmm. But me and you will be like, nah, like, shoot, I pay $9.99 a month. It's really not that much money in order to have a whole library. I mean, if I want to listen to R. Kelly, I can listen to R. Kelly, J. Cole, Chance, whatever. How long do you think it'll be before like CDs just become like obsolete?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question because I was talking with somebody about that, and they were telling me, as much as CDs are being phased out right now, it's funny because vinyls are actually selling more than CDs.
Yep.
And so it makes me wonder, is it going to be where they start going old school and you start getting vinyls more, or is it, they're going to completely stop production on CDs, or are they going to keep going with both? It's still up in the air to me. I think it could be phased out pretty soon, but at the same time, I still think, it'll still be there, but it'll be a lot less.
Yeah, I feel that too, and I don't really know. Is taking over CDs or whatever. Mm-hmm. Cassette tapes will never do it. I feel like because cassette tapes you got to keep rewinding and all that other stuff, and it was a struggle with that. But vinyl, you can just take the little pen and put it.
There's something vintage about it that people like. I think just having a library of vinyls, flipping through them and everything. It's just kind of, like you said, nostalgic.
Now, as far as in your car, what do you listen to more, CDs or stuff from your phone?
Stuff from my phone. I still have like the disc changer in my car. So I have 6 CDs at all times in there, plus the CDs, whatever I have in my actual glove compartment and everything. But as far as like you said, the ease and everything, just be able to plug it in and
then have it. Yeah, because that's the thing, man. I love my CDs, but in my car, I'd rather it be on my phone because. Like when I was traveling the other day, I was coming from St. Louis. I don't buy no CD books. So like I don't even want CD books anymore. Last time I had a CD book, that shit got stolen. But I keep them in my little, what's the thing?
Center console.
Yeah, the center console. Yeah. Like I keep them there, and I had to keep reaching in and looking, doing all the other stuff. Versus like I'm not encouraging texting and driving at all. Versus looking at your phone and just being, oh, let me click on that real quick. Yeah. And if I want to rewind, I ain't gotta hold nothing. I can just swipe back. But I think that CDs, and then I had an old Lil Wayne CD, 500 Degrees, and I put it in without looking at the back of it, see if it was scratches. Man, that shit was playing and that shit just stopped. I think by like track 5, I was like, nah, this shit.
And that is huge too, I think, because a lot of back in the day, you would have stuff where, your little brother get into your CDs or something like that, or your little cousin, and then just mess them up. And then at that time, you wouldn't have it anymore. You'd either have to go buy another one, or you would have to hope that you burn it on your computer where you can, make a copy of it. Which, I mean, so that's, there's, like I said, positives and negatives. So that's a big positive. You don't really have to worry about it unless you lose your data somehow. So
yeah, and I think this is what I really prefer. I prefer buying the physical copy and then ripping it on my computer and then deciding what songs I want and putting it on my phone versus buying a digital. See, because you buy a whole digital copy, like I said, it's gonna get up the memory on your phone, and you're gonna have songs. Because there's songs that I had from Eminem's last album that I really didn't want. Not that I didn't like the tracks. It's just like I don't want all these. I want the ones that like Rap God or the other ones that I'm really just feeling for the moment, and I like being able to switch it up. But yeah, them CDs, man, it's like it's hard to listen to them in the car, and I don't have a disc changer. I just got one little thing, so I think that's. And then recording wise too, digital, like it used to be back in the day, you couldn't email tracks like that. You would get the CDs or whatever like that. These days, you can record and then it gets sent right to you. You know, and I think that that's real beneficial today. So I think that in all, digital, I think in 2014, digital had overruled CDs pretty much, you know, and you know, we can understand it, but I really do think that I prefer like getting the physical copy and looking at the credits and everything like that, but then to be able to rip it, you know, and put it on my phone or whatever. So didn't you have Spotify at one point?
Yeah.
Why'd you get rid of Spotify?
Apple Music. Once Apple Music came up, you know, I was like, oh yeah, I know there's gonna, because I feel like Apple Music was the first to have like the specific artist to say that, oh, I'm only gonna release so and so on Apple Music. Like, even with you know, pop music and stuff like that, they had artists that said that. With hip hop, of course, you got like Drake and stuff like that. People that said, I'm only gonna do it for Apple Music. I feel like Spotify. With Spotify, they had they were big on playlists, and you were able to find like some up and coming artists, and you can kind of do it with Tidal too. They have a little section where you can find some like upcoming artists and stuff like that. But like I said, with the exclusives from Apple Music, I feel like that was like kind of like, well, I'll make this switch, and then of course the ease again too, because you know, you can save the music and it'll be saved, and you can download it, so it'll be straight on your My Music versus it being, you know, you actually going through searching on Apple Music. You just hit, you know, My Music and it'll be right there. So
yeah, and I think as a whole, like we was having this discussion too, like will DVDs and Blu-rays become extinct as well? Because if you notice, back in the day when we were growing up, you had Movie Gallery, Blockbuster, and all that. In some places you may still have a Blockbuster. I think I saw some family video place, and I was just like, how the hell are y'all still surviving? Because, you know, Netflix has taken over to, and Hulu, and then you got Redbox, which is a lot more simple and easier. But what do you think about DVDs? Do you think that eventually everything's just going to be digital with that, or you think it'll still be physical copies when it comes to movies?
I think it'll be tough for movies, because you know, with Netflix and the copyrights and everything, not all new movies, obviously not all new movies will be on Netflix. You have stuff like where you can order it on Comcast, or you can order it on DirecTV, and you can just basically have the movie. But for some reason, I feel like movies might be kind of different than music.
True, yeah. I can still see people going to the store and purchasing, you know, the movies, because the thing is, everybody isn't going to be digital, and everybody don't like a bootleg movie. I don't really like bootleg movies. You know what I'm saying? Now, bootleg CDs, they could have a tad bit lower quality, but they were still listenable, and you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But a bootleg film is like, come on now. Yeah. That's why I don't ever think going to the movies will ever become extinct either. Like, you know, I think that people are still gonna do that, but it's just crazy how we look back at the 90s versus what's going on today, and everything like that. But I still like the aspect of whatever it is. Like, some movies I may wait until Netflix comes up, you know, till it comes on Netflix, or some movies I may wait until some other stuff comes up, you know. But I think that definitely, like, it got to be real good for me to go see it. Like Captain America, I definitely went to go see that shit. And some other movies. What's some of the last movies you saw?
I haven't been to the movies in a while. I know, I want to say probably Deadpool, maybe. If I saw it in the theater. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I don't go to the movies as much anymore, but yeah, it definitely, I know you said Captain America is one of the ones that I wanted to go see a lot. The new Neighbors movie was pretty, but the last one was pretty funny. I wanted to see that and stuff like that. So I mean, you know, it'll have to be pretty good for me to get out and go see it. Like, I know when Fury 7 came out, that was nostalgic for me, because, you know, I grew up as a Fast and Furious fan. So of course, when Paul Walker passed away, it was like, oh, I have to go see this movie, because, you know, I grew up watching it. So
yeah, well, I think that the debate between physical versus digital, I don't know. I could ask a lot of people, you know, we'll probably get more opinions and everything, but that's what we feel. We prefer physical, but at the same time, digital is more convenient. We can both say that. If you have any other feedback or anything that you want to add to it, make sure that you comment and let us know. Like, do you prefer physical or do you prefer digital? That's a real good debate that we could talk about, definitely. But that's pretty much it what we got right now. Do you have any social media that people can follow you on and stuff like that?
Stretch Existence. So Stretch and then Existence without an E. So STRETCH XISTENCE, and pretty much on everything for Instagram, Twitter, everything else. So.
Yeah, definitely. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JRed. That's at JAYR3D. Also on Facebook, it's facebook.com/RedAUTH. RedAUTH. So thank you for joining me, man.
Oh yeah,
all right. And we're gonna have plenty more discussions, I'm sure. That was just something I wanted to touch on. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure again that you subscribe to the official YouTube channel, which is We Authentic Music. Okay. All right. I'm JRed. Thank you for joining me. See you on the next episode.
You claim to be kin to me, and chicks that dodge me wish they had a kid by me. No one really cared, that's until the money came. Family ain't called, that's until the money came. You ain't give a fuck about me till the money came. I see you changing as soon as I got the Franklins. No one really cared, that's until the money came. Family ain't called, that's until the money came. You ain't give a fuck about me till the money came. I see